Alright, so we're back with George today. How you doing, George?
Yeah, mate, all good.
So yeah, just finishing up this festival. This is the final. We want to know some of the really deep impacting issues surrounding veganism, and specifically something we were speaking about earlier, which was that these other isms and ists have started to encroach on veganism, and we're seeing a lot more veganism bleeding into the worlds of feminism movement, the racism movement, anti-racism movement, sorry, and socialism as well. And there's other aspects, but let's talk a bit more about that if you want to highlight anything.
Well, one thing that's been annoying me recently is that this sort of idea that the far left has a sort of monopoly on veganism. You touched on the idea of sort of like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like, it could be something even more to the left than socialism. It could be communism and whatever. And you get people sort of saying, you can't be a vegan unless you're against capitalism or all this stuff. And I think this is actually harmful to the movement, because you've got people that are saying they're trying to build an inclusive movement when often they're actually doing the opposite of what they're saying. I've seen a lot of vegans being ostracised for having conservative views. Like, for example, if someone votes for a certain party or something like that, they'll say you're not a vegan because of that. Right. They're forgetting what veganism is genuinely about, which is the exploitation of non-human animals.
That's very good.
I mean, it can relate to the other prejudices we have. I think, for example, the exploitation of the female reproductive system in animal agriculture, I guess that's a feminist issue, right? And it's also, you could call speciesism, if anything, a form of racism, because essentially we're looking down on those who are biologically different to us, who look different to us.
Exactly. So yeah, so there's definitely areas where they can connect and unite in a sense. Yeah. But we've had more, and it's not become a really big issue, but it has popped up sometimes where people are spreading hatred amongst the veganism movement, and it's started to bubble up to the surface a bit more, so to speak. So what would you say about in things we've heard from people like James Aspey talking about equality, and Joey Armstrong as well? Equality.
Joey Carbstrong.
So,
although Armstrong is his actual real surname, so it's fine, to be fair.
Right. So what can we highlight in terms of approaching people who could either be fully carnist, vegetarian, or just non-vegan, and what can we change about the way we approach those people? A lot of people are doing it with aggression. Well,
I think we have to be understanding of the place they're coming from. We have to understand that we were, I guess, the same once, right? However, that's not to say that anger and being judgmental is not an effective tool in activism. It really is. If you're not an angry vegan, then how are you going to be an activist? Because it's not inspiring you to get up every day. It's not inspiring you to talk to people on the streets. It's not inspiring you to do the leaflets and stuff.
And then how would you balance that out with saying something like, maybe then anger is confused with passion, or like a discomfort with the situation?
It's about striking that balance. There's a motto, right? Be like a duck on water. What that means is, if you think about, you have this anger inside you, this fire inside you, you see these slaughterhouse videos, and you say to yourself, this is disgusting, and you have this real hatred burning inside you for the people who are doing that. At the same time, you have to, on the outside, actually appear approachable. You have to be understanding of people who really were the same as you were a few years ago. And what be like a duck on water means is, when a duck's going along the water, how graceful and smooth they look. Under the surface, their legs are going like the clappers, they're going like that. But you don't see that bit. So that's the representation of that anger, that fire burning inside. But the duck above the surface, he's smooth, he's gliding along, he's eloquent, he's just, he's dare I say, approachable. Like, he's not an angry duck, right? So that's what the saying is. It's about striking that balance. And so you have to be understanding and speak in the same way you'd want to be spoken to, that you would have found effective. But do not for 1 minute ever say, just because of that you should rid yourself of the anger of what's happening to the world. That anger, you channel it and say, I want to get up in the morning and do this. I want to bear witness to the animals at this slaughterhouse on a freezing cold January morning, whatever it is, because I am angry about the situation that's happening and I want to be there. That's what drives us on as activists.
That's great, George. Thank you very much, and thanks for being here on the series.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
Always the best. And again, we'll be seeing you in 2018, most likely at the Vegan Campout.
Yeah.
And if you want to just reiterate, what are you going to be presenting in your workshop or talk, if you decide either?
Yeah, next year I'd like to do a workshop on helping new vegans or non-vegans with the common arguments they might get. So it'll be like a Q&A type thing where people can ask me, I'm really unsure about this argument that I've heard, can you please address it for me? Just really helping people to gain that knowledge and insight and equip them with the ammo they need for refuting these fallacies that we hear every day.
Thank you.